Let me tell you about a man named Gregory Caldwell. He's a 71-year-old engineer, sharp as a tack, who was completely betrayed by his own son and daughter-in-law. They thought he was a problem they could just, lock away and forget about. Oh boy, were they about to find out how wrong they were.
Wow, this quote right here, it says everything you need to know. It's not just a story about getting even. This is about flipping the entire chessboard over and then buying the company that made the board. It's a masterclass in turning the tables. All right, so let's start at the beginning. Act 1, the betrayal. It all kicks off with something that sounds so normal, right? A dinner invitation from his son Leo and daughter-in-law Sabrina. But the moment Gregory walks in, he can feel it. The air is just thick with this fake concern. This wasn't a family dinner. It was an ambush, plain and simple.
And just look at the evidence they cooked up. This wasn't some slow, gradual decline they were worried about. No, this was a systematic, calculated campaign to make him look incompetent. They told a doctor he left the gas stove on, but his house has been all electric for decades. They said he got lost driving, but Leo gave him the wrong directions on purpose. They even intercepted his mail so it looked like he wasn't paying his bills. The level of manipulation here is just staggering.
So, of course, the doctor they hired delivers the diagnosis they paid for: rapid onset senile dementia. But as those words are still hanging in the air, Gregory hears something, a siren, and it's getting closer. An ambulance was already on its way. You see, this was never an intervention to help him. It was a pre-planned extraction to get him out of the way.
And that leads us straight into Act 2, the cage. They drag Gregory to this place, the Golden Valley Nursing Home. And it's exactly as bleak as you'd imagine. Smells of bleach and sadness. They take his wallet, his phone, his watch. They strip him of his whole identity. They think they've got him. Defeated, powerless, and completely alone. But then, they make a mistake. A huge one. An orderly tries to take an old silver dollar from him, and Sabrina, getting impatient, just snaps. "Just let him keep the stupid coin," she says. "It's worthless." That one moment of pure arrogance, dismissing that piece of junk silver, that's the exact moment her whole plan starts to crumble.
Because this wasn't just any coin. It was a cold wallet, for cryptocurrency. A custom-made, military-grade piece of hardware his late wife Alice had designed for him years ago. And on that worthless coin were the keys to a secret fortune worth hundreds of millions of dollars. A fortune his kids knew absolutely nothing about.
So there is Gregory, trapped, isolated, when an ally appears from the most unlikely of places, a young nurse, Maria Diaz. She's the first person to show him an ounce of real human kindness. But she also tells him something truly horrifying. See, Leo and Sabrina paid extra for a special service. You know what that was? It was a code for the staff to ignore his call button, to make sure he was left alone to shiver in the dark. That was the last straw. This brings us to Act 3, the Alice Protocol. Maria, seeing what was really happening, risks her own job. She smuggles him a cheap, prepaid burner phone. That little piece of plastic, well, it was about to become the key to unlocking an entire hidden empire.
At 3 in the morning, when the whole facility is dead silent, Gregory makes the call. He dials a number in New York. His lawyer, Harrison, the only other person on Earth who knows the truth. And all he says are 2 words, a code phrase he and his late wife came up with: activate the Alice Protocol. And just like that, a financial war machine roars to life.
Harrison doesn't waste a second. He gets his private investigators on it, and the real reason for his kid's betrayal becomes sickeningly clear. This wasn't just about greed. This was about sheer animal panic. They were desperate.
Turns out his son, Leo, wasn't just in a little debt. He owed $1.2 million to a loan shark. We're talking the kind of people who don't just take you to court. He was completely underwater. And Sabrina? Oh, she was in just as deep. She'd been fired from her law firm after they caught her embezzling $80,000 from client accounts. Her career was toast. They were both about to lose everything.
But here's where it gets truly wild. While digging through the finances, Harrison finds the most unbelievable twist. Years ago, Gregory's wife made this tiny investment in a biotech firm. That firm got bought, then that company got bought, and through a series of mergers, Gregory unknowingly owned an 8% stake in the parent company of the Golden Valley Nursing Home. Get this, he wasn't just a prisoner, he was one of their biggest shareholders.
And now, everything changes. Welcome to Act 4, The Takedown. With this new knowledge, Gregory goes on the attack. He's not just trying to get out anymore. He wants to own the very cage they locked him in.
The plan is absolutely surgical. First, Harrison uses that 8% stake to file an emergency injunction and leaks the story about an investigation into patient abuse. The company's stock nosedives. Then, while the board is in full-blown panic mode, a mysterious shell corporation called the AC Trust swoops in with a lowball, all-cash offer for the whole chain. The board, desperate to stop the financial bleeding, sells for pennies on the dollar. And just like that, Gregory Caldwell owns the whole shebang.
All right, here's the moment we've been waiting for, the confrontation. Leo and Sabrina show up for their weekly visit, and the lobby is completely different. It's beautiful. And who's at the front desk? Maria. Except she's not a nurse anymore. She's the new executive director. When they ask for their father, she looks at her screen and delivers this beautiful first blow. You can just imagine the confusion on their faces. It's not sinking in. And then, Maria looks them dead in the eye and drops the bomb. She tells them their senile old father isn't a patient anymore. He's the owner. The pure, unfiltered shock, it must have been incredible to see.
And that's his cue. Gregory appears. He's not in some sad patient's gown. He's in a perfectly tailored Savile Row suit, looking like a king. They start screaming, "We're family! We're family!" And he just calmly looks at them and hits them with the cold, hard truth of what they did, throwing their own cruelty right back in their faces.
And that leads us to the final act, Act 5, the reckoning. The big confrontation is over, but the real consequences, they're just getting started. This is where Gregory takes all that pain and turns it into a powerful new purpose.
Justice comes, and man, it comes fast. Leo and Sabrina are arrested that day for felony elder fraud. They try to file a countersuit, claiming they were the victims, but Harrison just buries them in court with all the evidence of their conspiracy. Leo gets 10 years in prison. Sabrina, well, she turns on him to save her own skin and gets 3 years probation. In the end, their own lies destroyed them.
But the story doesn't stop there. Gregory renames the facility the Alice Caldwell Wellness Center in honor of his wife. He guts the whole place and rebuilds it as a 5-star, nonprofit sanctuary. He triples the staff, makes them the highest paid in the state, and uses his trust to subsidize the care for every single one of the original residents. He even creates a national foundation to fight the exact kind of elder abuse he went through.
And the story ends with this really quiet, powerful moment months later. Sabrina, who's actually working an honest job now, comes to see him. She apologizes, and it seems genuine. Gregory accepts her apology, but he tells her something important. Forgiveness is one thing. Trust, that's gone forever. The final chapter is closed.
So, what do you take away from a story like this? It's about revenge, for sure, but it's also about dignity, and what happens when people get blinded by desperation and greed. And it really makes you think, doesn't it? What would you have done? And is there any wound deeper than being betrayed by your own family?